We are producing and developing the protein shake, but for batteries. What we do, restoration procedures, it is actually non-destructive recycling. So we took that pack, we restore the cells with almost invasive method and return that back to the supplier. How to bring the lab technology, just like exciting, oh, we can do this, to like a real commercial scale. That's exactly what we do in the Lithium Company. For us, the milestone, I can say that, hey, so it was 75, now it is again 99%. That will be the perfect outcome from this validation campaign. That's actually our first milestone.
Let's say somebody using your technology 2-3 years down the line, compared to they just completely install a new battery. Like, what is the difference between the cost if you have a number?
If you run the business which is offer the product which is expensive with the existing solutions, it's not good business, okay? So that's my understanding after running and incorporating like a few companies, right?
You're listening to Bite Size Climate Tech, Season 5. Hi, Dr. Alex. You're a return guest from Season 2. Long-time listeners may remember from Season 2. Back then, we spoke about HyWatts.
Oh, that's what that means, reversible fuel cell. Oh, Lydia, it's simple to explain. Reversible fuel cell means that it's a bidirectional device, which is like a multifunctional knife. You can have a screwdriver in it, right? So scissors, knife itself, and etc.
Which is the idea of making clean energy system more flexible, almost like a Swiss Army knife. I still remember this. Now, Alex is back with a new company as a serial entrepreneur and scientist would do the Lithium Company, working on a very different but equally fascinating question. What if lithium-ion batteries are not dead, just tired? So instead of replacing or recycling batteries too early, the Lithium Companies is developing LIRA, a Lithium Inventory Refill Agent, to restore depleted batteries closer to their original capacity. So welcome back.
Yeah. Hello, everybody.
As the tradition of this podcast, we are going to talk about one concept and one concept only, which is LIRA. What is the active lithium inventory?
So actually, this is a compound which is combines like a special chemistry and lithium salt. So we are taking the individual cell and penetrate and inject that LIRA inside that compound inside the cell. So after like a few cycles of formation, we have a byproducts of that decomposition of that compound into lithium ions, which is go directly inside the existing electrolyte. And the other byproduct is a gases, which is ventilated from the cells. The exciting stuff around that technology is that we are not contaminate existing electrolyte. We are not like replacing electrolyte. After that, we refill the lithium inventory, and that's how we restore the battery to full capacity.
Right. You need to be a little bit slower for this. If you can walk me through the workflows.
Yeah, sure. When we receive depleted battery pack, so we analyze that pack with a special procedure to understand how many cells on this pack is applicable for restoration. Because not only lithium inventory problem is a major and one of the degradation mechanism of the lithium batteries, right? So when we understand that, let's say 90% of the cell can be restored, we move it to like a manufacturer cycle. We take the cell, penetrate the cell like with 2 holes, started to injection inside the cell, that LIRA, that's liquid compound with lithium salt inside, electrochemical reaction, so formation cycle. And from another side of the second hole, we are purchasing the gases inside the battery. What happened? Active lithium ions started to penetrate inside the existing electrolyte. When we fill up that lithium inventory, we seal the battery and return it to the operation.
Let's say we all have a battery on a phone. The battery, when we first got the phone, is like 100% super nice. It can last for days. And at some point, you need to charge every 3 hours. So something happened in the battery, like the chemical electrolyte is gone.
Exactly. So the physical structure of the batteries is still good. Everything all intake. The problem with lithium inventory, when you buy a new phone, you have lithium batteries, which is a lot of lithium ions inside. But during the discharging of your phone, lithium ions started to stuck inside the electrolyte and the separator and etc. That's how the quantity of that active lithium ions interrupt to participate into the electrochemical reaction in cycle charging discharge. That is why in 1 year, you just need to charge your phone each 3, 4, 5, 10 hours. It's not like new. In our technology, we address that problem. We say that, hey, so we have a special protein shake, a lithium-ion shake, just add inside the battery, and voila, you will have like a fully restored capacity of your battery, and you can run your phone like new.
Because we featured the first guest for this season. They're doing battery repurpose. I know there's repurpose, there's restore, there's recycle. Tell us a little bit of what's the difference between each of them and how it makes the lithium company special.
Actually, right now, there are two major response answers from the industry if your battery die or it's achieved the end of life stage. So it's recycle it. What does mean recycles is a fully destroy the batteries to extract some like very useful materials like lithium, and etc. So it depends on what's and then you return that all masses and elements to the battery manufacturer, which is starting to build new cell. Very expensive process. Repurposing, for instance, if you drove your Tesla like more than 8 years, you see that your battery, specifically for automotive industry, is depleted, but it still has some performance you can repurpose. So it means that they took Tesla battery pack and sent it to energy storage market. For instance, for Tesla wall or for other applications, for data centers and etc. etc. But the battery in general is already end of life for some of the industries. For some of other industries, it's still in good condition. The problem with repurposing is that you cannot predict when exactly the battery will die. That is why automotive manufacturers, they have a very specific standard that the end of life is 80% of capacity, or you can run the battery not than 8 years. You can read your warranty book from Tesla and you will see the same number. What we do, restoration procedures, it is actually non-destructive recycling, right? So we took that pack, we restore the cells with almost invasive method and return that back to the supplier, to the automotive manufacturer or to energy storage, depends on where we got that packs. Bottom line, what's the differences? We are non-destructive recycling process.
Now that I understand, but how do you explain this to an 8-year-old?
We are storing depleted lithium batteries. We refill it with active lithium ions. Just imagine you are in the gym and do a lot of exercises with weights and etc. And in some point you feel yourself really tired. So you're completely depleted in energy. And you go to the reception, buy a small protein shake, drink it, and voila, in 15 minutes you are like fresh, like new, and etc. So I would say that the lithium companies, we are producing and developing the protein shake, but for batteries.
Climate tech is just good business! That's the bottom line.
Understandably, you just started the company, but I have seen your latest update that you already have interest from energy storage markets and partnership with Dwarf, Kittal, and Trenta. What do those partnerships unlock commercially for you at this stage?
So have you seen another updates when I sent like a very short
screen
of text to one of our potential customers, say, hey, so we do this stuff, and say, oh, Alex, that's great you did reach out. I have bunch of packs which can be restored. Please help me to do something to do with this. So this is an amazing customer. I actually included that in our report, but Dwarf Kittal, it's a huge chemical company. Actually, we are partnering with them to understand what will be the manufacture procedure of LIRA in a big scale. So now we understand how much it would cost and etc. Because for us, the business model for commercialization, it is very, very important step. How to bring the lab technology, just like exciting, oh, we can do this, to like a real commercial scale. That's exactly what we do in the lithium company.
This is good because I also wanted to understand, let's say an EV company, they have a new model, right? They have a new model every year or every 2 years. How does it work? Like say I have a 2-year-old car, electric vehicle car, and then the battery is not good, but I just drive it to you and then you are like a clinic. You not only charge the battery, but also refuel the chemical inside. I guess that we're not there yet. Is that?
It's actually a good question. And this is a part of our customer exploration, what we do right now to identify exactly what we need to do for the market, right? So because you just described one of the potential business models. So we have actually 2 stages. The first stage, we want to build our own facility to restore the packs and cells, right? So internal. But the second phase, we expect to license that technology to electric vehicles, service providers, to companies who should provide service for energy storage. But near term, we want to make that restoration procedures ourselves inside internally, just because we will collect all data, all necessary data to develop the technology and for future business. My
Gotcha.
big vision is a hardware and consumables business model, like a Hewlett Packard. So they sell you printer and you are just like order inks. The Lithium Company, we also wanted to deploy the special machine, restoration machine. And then after like let's say a subscription mode, supply LIRA to those companies who wanted to restore themselves that batteries.
I think that's an exciting pathway because I also saw that you launched experimental validation with Cal State Los Angeles.
So we rented their lab to run that because right now we're at the stage for your understanding, we just started. So like a month ago, incorporated the company, right? So we don't have like a full approved facility. We are working on it, but I think it's very, very important to get validation point for investors, for customers, for partners. So that is why we rent ready-to-use facility from Cal State and running restoration right now and in their facility. And actually, right after that meeting, I'm going to drive from San Francisco to Los Angeles because it's an active experimental program and going to spend like next week in LA with my team.
Nice. So what is the meaningful validation milestones for the coming months?
So for us, the minimum one is that we just analyzed like old cells and we figure that their end of life, like their capacity is 75%, which is less than 80. So we disassembled Tesla. For us, the milestone, I can say that, hey, so it was 75, now it is again 99%. That will be the perfect outcome from this validation campaign. That's actually our first milestone. Of course, then after we will have run the program to demonstrate to everybody that it's a near performance, right? So like a new, that you can run like an additional like 3 to 4,000 cycles and etc. But it takes time, right? So to make that validation.
Course.
But the first milestone, we restore the cell. Now it's 99. It was 75. Now it's 99. We're good.
Amazing. Of course, every new company have some, I think the milestones now understand you need to first validate that it can be restored and eventually after it's restored, how much more it can run, because we always wanted to know about the numbers and costs, right? For a new technology, it's usually more expensive than the incumbent existing technology. Let's say somebody using your technology 2-3 years down the line, compared to they just completely install a new battery. What is the difference between the cost if you have a number?
If you run the business, which is and offer the product, which is expensive, what is existing solutions, is not good business, okay? So that's my understanding after running and incorporating like a few companies, right, in the past.
Right,
so
exactly.
In the Lithium Company, so we have very strong value proposition. Restore cells with initial performance is like a new battery, so we are much cheaper, 2-3 times compared to the cell if you buy from OEM new battery. That's the value proposition, 2-3 times cheaper. That is exactly what markets are looking for. It's not a big secret how I started the company, right? In HyWatts, we designed power plant in the box, hydrogen storage, and of course we integrated buffer battery, which is on lithium, which was like a short duration energy storage. And when I signed agreement with developer, because we like a power purchase agreement, I have to include all services, overhauls, replacements, and etc. And I figured that the battery I have to replace each 8 years, some 7 to 10. And actually the cost of the lithium battery is 25% of the whole system cost. There's a huge pressure on the financial model because I need to replace it by a new one. But if I will have the technology, which is give me the pack, my battery replacement, which is my cheaper way when it's restored and it operates with all necessary certificates, blah, 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 and performance is confirmed, why should I say no? Of course, that will be dramatically decrease financial pressure on such projects in renewable energy specifically, because all renewable energy is supported by incentives by government. But in a couple of years, it will disappear, right? So what we'll do next? In the lithium companies, we are like working on the answer.
This is perfect because this is the tied to my next question that I want to ask.
Why do you work in climate?
And then what keeps you working in this industry? Because you have started many companies before HyWatt is
High
point, and then HyWatt, and then now it's the Lithium Company. And it's actually, from your story, it sounds like you're solving a real like problem for your previous company. So which is like at the beginning, it's already have a valid
pattern, high points, high watts. Why the lithium? You should have high lithium.
Yeah, exactly.
I do strongly believe that's like a new technologies in the energy field specifically. It doesn't matter whether it's lithium or hydrogen will dramatically increase the quality of life, right? So that is the major point I'm thinking about when I started new companies and etc. Because if you can offer like a cheaper solution, more effective solution, we will support a lot. I know that our like oil gas prices is increasing every day, right? It's a geopolitical question, but with renewable energy and climate tech, so you can dramatically decrease dependency on that situation. Because if I deploy a renewable power source on my backyard, that's my power source. I own, right? So I don't need to pay to utility companies or waiting when they will increase the price. That's the energy is actually free. But now we need to think about how to build that infrastructure like below free of charge sun in a much cheaper and efficient way. That is why for me, it's a direct connection with quality of life, because again, we pay cheaper and etc. Actually, it will increase access to electricity to many, many people around the world. That's what motivates me.
Making a better and cleaner, sustainable future.
Absolutely.
A question from our previous guest.
So his question is, when you're at scale, what do you think about your feedstock? Where do you get your stuff to make your stuff?
Now, pass it on to our next guest.
I guess for the Lithium Company, it's like two versions. Where do you get your degraded batteries? Where does the chemistry behind LIRA from?
That's easy question. Right now in the world, deploy more than 3 terawatt hours in electric vehicles and energy storage. Actually, people are looking for an option to what they can do with that end-of-life batteries, right? So, and the second wave of end-of-life batteries are coming. So people right now don't think that is a problem is almost real, but it's real, right? I don't think it will be a huge problem to get that lithium packs, because actually regulation inside some the European Union, on the United Kingdom, and in the United States, you have to pay for recycling, right? So that's why if I will offer, hey guys, so I can take let's say your end-of-life batteries, I don't think it should be a big problem with source of that type of batteries. But of course, we need to work on that, because guys who recycling or repurposing, they're also active on that market. And that is why what we are doing right now in the Lithium Company, so we are hiring actually the people who can help us with that type of business. So how we have to establish that, obtain that depleted batteries. What's actually a tricky question. I usually ask another ones, right? So much easier.
Yeah. And I think it's a very good question. And now it's your turn to leave a question for the next guest.
Because it's the second time here, right? So I will continue the tradition. So for the next founder, I wanted to ask the question, what's the last movie he watched, right? Or she watched, I don't know who will be next. And why that specific movie? I would like to hear the story.
Okay, that's a generic question. Do you have a specific question, like more climate-driven question?
More climate, okay. Why do you think that your technology will improve the quality of life of the people if that technology will be integrated?
What's your one sentence of hope?
I hope that all geopolitical problems we right now face around the world will be disappeared, and we will back to the normal life, which dramatically will decrease again the cost of life, because everything we are not guys who is moving big boxes, right? So we are just like a small ants in this world, but we are definitely influenced by people who making very strange decisions. And I hope that all conflicts will be resolved soon. Yeah, we will be in the better world very soon.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's make climate cool again.
Make climate cool again. Yeah.
And let's make batteries cool again.
Okay.
Let's make climate cool again.